Hey, I'm Chris and this is Legends and Stuff. Today I will be discussing the legend of the Basilisk. The Basilisk myth first originated in the Hellenistic and Roman period of the ancient world, though it has since reached far past its first mentions in the 1st century and has transformed since medieval times into a creature called the cockatrice. And it has become a giant living representation of evil and sin rather than a horror snake of its ancient past. The name Basilisk came from the Greek term basiliskos, which means little king or kinglet, because the basilisk was believed to be the king of the serpents. One of the earliest descriptions we have of the basilisk comes from Pliny the Elder in the 1st century AD. Pliny the Elder described the serpent as being no more than 12 fingers long. He said that it had a white spot atop its head that looked like a diadem, which is a type of crown, I believe, and that it moved half erect rather than slithering along like a regular snake. It was also said that its breath was so noxious that it killed all life, animals, humans, greenery, all alike, that it would scorch snakes and bushes and trees, and that it was even so bad that it would crack stones in half. It was believed if a man killed a basilisk with a spear, that the poison would run up the spear and poison the man, and even went as far to say if the man was on horseback, that it would also kill the horse. According to Pliny, the only natural enemy of the basilisk was the weasel, and the only way to kill a basilisk was by finding its den, which was noticeable because the grass around the hole would be scorched, and to throw a weasel inside, where the weasel and the basilisk would fight to the death, and both creatures would die. Now, Pliny is not the only writer in ancient history to mention the basilisk, but he is certainly one of the most notable and gives the most detailed account in his The Natural History. Over 1,000 years after Pliny's account of the basilisk was written, the birth story of the basilisk was written in the 12th century when Saint Hildegard wrote of a serpent that hatched from an egg that was incubated by a toad. While others, specifically Nachem, went further to write that the basilisk was born from a lame rooster that was incubated by a toad. It also took on a different form in that of a cockatrice, and it changed from being a simple snake that was extremely deadly to a serpent avian hybrid. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail about the cockatrice here, because in the upcoming weeks I plan to make a video about the cockatrice as a separate entity, because they are quite different from the basilisk of the ancient world, but it didn't really feel quite right not to mention them at all. But I will say that the basilisk really changed from being just a deadly snake to a serpent avian hybrid that was much more monster-like in appearance rather than just very fearful, or fear-evoking. But it did change to a creature with chicken legs and a chicken head, or a rooster's head, and reptilian wings and a snake-like body. And also that around the 12th century in literature, the terms cockatrice and basilisk really became interchangeable in a lot of writings. Now, there are possible candidates for a real snake that the basilisk was based on. The first being the Egyptian cobra, which is known for its lethal venom and its upright stance, as well as a flat neck piece. I'm not quite sure what they're actually called. The Egyptian cobra also has a little spot on its head. And it not only injects its venom, it also spits its venom upwards, which may explain how the basilisk was able to kill without touching its victims, as well as stories where the venom would run up spears and would be able to kill a man and a horse simply from that venom. Sightings of the basilisk were also based in a place called Syrian, which borders the Roman and I believe the Western Egyptian territories, which is now in modern Libya. Egyptian cobras were of course revered by the Egyptians and considered powerful symbols of protection, and they certainly would have been slithering around the area at the time. The killing method for a basilisk also rings true with the Egyptian cobra, where weasels do not kill cobras. The mongoose often do, and there are similarities in the weasel and the mongoose in that they are both small carnivorous mammals. Another possibility is the common grass snake, which could explain the noxious breath that the basilisk was said to have, because when cornered, a grass snake emits a noxious odour from its anal gland. The grass snake was also absent from many bestiaries of the ancient world, where the basilisk was quite common, leaving a lot of people to believe that the basilisk was taking the grass snake's place and it was a case of mistaken identity. Of course, there is no real way to know for certain, one way or the other, if the basilisk was based off of a real snake or if it was just a part of their mythology, and they certainly believed this snake was real, but there's no actual way to know if it ever existed or had a basis of reality. But anyway, that's me for this week, and I hope you enjoyed this video and found it very informative, and if you did, make sure you like and subscribe, and I will be back next week with the Legend of the Phoenix. See you then!